Hello and welcome to another video from Sandra at Sandra's Stampin' Craft Studio. Today I'm back with my third card in our Tag Buffet Christmas class. Together with Gina Connor, we are putting together a collaboration of this beautiful stamp set. So here is the stamp set that we'll be using today, and I'm going to be making you a Dutch barn door card. So this is the card, this is the Dutch barn roof, and these are the barn doors. And on the inside, we have a greeting inside there as well. So we're going to be showing you, giving you the measurements and showing you how to create this card. Okay, so I'll send that to the side for now. This first step for our card today is to cut a whole sheet of A4 cardstock down the centre and score across the centre as well to make an A6 card with a tent style. Okay, next we are going to take a small guillotine and cut off the bottom 6.5 centimetres off the front, like so. Okay, that will leave us a card with half a top. So next I have a piece here. I've pre-scored this. This piece measures 21 centimetres, which is the width of our A4 card, by 6.5 centimetres. So this is replacing the piece that we've taken off the bottom here. So we're going to close those doors for now. I'm going to turn it sideways because it's easier to adhere, and I'm going to glue this piece to the bottom of my card to replace the piece that's been taken away. So I'm going to use my Tombow multi-purpose adhesive and place that along there like so. If I open up the doors, I'll use my bone folder and just press all over that. So here is our format of our card very quickly. We've taken off 6.5 centimetres, then we've added it back on. Okay, so there we are to start with. Now for the inside, because we have that ridge running along the bottom there, I have taken my liner, which is 10 centimetres by 14.3, and I've run it through the snowflake embossing folder, and I'm going to adhere this one into the middle of the card as well. That hides that join up nicely and makes it all nice and neat on the inside. Okay, while we're on the inside, I'm going to do our sentiment for the middle here. And I have my Stamper Artist today, and I have, where I've cut out the ovals, I've used my layering ovals framelets, and I've used a kind of not quite the larger size, the next one down. I have my scallop in the cherry cobbler, and then I have the oval that I've cut out here to put the sentiment on. Now, to make life easier, I'm going to put this in the aperture here that I've cut out. This was just from a scrap of card that I leave as a template in with the dies. If it's a size I'm going to use regularly, it's going to save me time later on as well, actually having that just to slot the pieces into. I'm just going to grab the stamp set, and I'm going to line up my sentiment on the inside here. So just making sure that it's within those lines nicely. So it needs to be central, and it's just going to the widest piece here, and it's nice and straight. So it's going to look nice. So I'm going to pick that one up. Obviously I've picked that up as well on there, but I'm going to lay that back down into the aperture. And I'm going to use my cherry cobbler ink. I do like to put a stamp set underneath this side of the plate. The plates actually go downhill and slide away from us, but if we put a stamp set underneath there, it keeps it nice and flat, horizontal and nice and even. So I'm going to stamp that in there like so. Press a nice and hard onto that image to make sure we get all the ink, and then just flick that off there. Okay, and there's my sentiment. Nicely done. So I've got a laminated grid sheet in here, so if I close the door now, that will just sit on there and I can wipe that away later. Okay, get that one out of the way. So we'll bring our card back on, and we'll bring my two ovals here. So I'm going to adhere this one to the other one. this is now going to be placed in the center there. I like to put some Stampin' Dimensionals on there to give it some extra height. Because of the shape of the doors, you've got 3 doors on here, it will not lay perfectly flat anyway, so it's nice to have that dimension in the inside of the card. And then pop that in the center. Like so. Okay, now we're going to decorate the 3 faces here. So the first piece we're going to have, the white layer, is going to be 10 centimeters by 8 centimeters. These are all going to be flat layers, so I'm going to build it as I talk you through the measurements. So this piece will go centrally on here, like so. And then the 2 barn doors, their matte layers will go on here and here respectively, and the size of those is 4.5 by 6 centimeters. And now we have 3 pieces of DSP Designer Series paper that is going to sit on here as well. Okay, so the first piece here for the top panel is going to be 9.5 centimeters by 7.5 centimeters. And then here I have 2 pieces that are measuring 4 centimeters by 5.5. So you can see that although I had the pieces cut and measured to size, you can see how quickly this card could come together. And now all it is about the decoration. For my sentiment, I'm using the Merry Christmas from the Tag Buffet stamp set and my Cherry Cobbler ink. So gently tap on here just to ink that up. I'm going to stamp that image down. I need to leave that to dry just for a few seconds. We're going to cut this out by hand. I've jumped the gun a little bit because I've stamped some of my images that I require ahead of time. It is just stamping the images exactly as they are from the stamp set. So here we have 3 baubles with this stamp set. We have 2 pieces of fern with this stamp, and we have 3 double pairs of holly leaves, which are here. Okay, so once those are stamped, I'm going to take my Wink of Stella glitter brush, and I normally shake it up just to make sure that the pigment is loose, and I'm going to use the water-based ink that is already on these images to colour in. I'm going to start by using the ornaments here, and this is by using the glitter brush, it's going to add some sparkle to this image. So I'm picking up the ink, the water-based ink that is already there, and you can see I've just gone around the edge to start with, and then I'm doing little circular motions and I'm going over those lines, but I'm stretching that colour into the actual bauble, getting lighter into the middle and then come back down for some more colour. So if I bring that first one up to the camera, comparing it with a glitter one and a non-glittered one, you can see what a transformation that makes just by using the glitter brush, the Wink of Stella. So I'm going to do the other images as well. Okay, so that's the 3 cherry cobbler images done. Now I'm just going to clean my brush in case there's any red left on there. I'm going to give it another little squeeze, and then I'm going to colour over these images. Now you have a choice, you can either colour them individually on the leaves, or you can actually wash over the whole of the area, going over the edges, and then we're going to fussy cut this, so we'll cut all the other bits out. So it just gives a little bit of depth of colour, as long as you go over the edges where you're going to fussy cut round. You wouldn't get the same effect as this if you stamp the image in shaded spruce onto a shaded spruce piece of cardstock. It just wouldn't be as delicate as this. And then the same with the 3 pieces of holly on here as well. Beautifully glittery. Okay, I'll just wipe that brush. And they are the shaded spruce pieces. Okay, now we're going to cut those out, fussy cut those out by hand, because this needs to dry a little bit. I'm going to place that to one side and then bring on some that I've already cut. So here also is my sentiment that we stamped earlier, and I'm going to fussy cut this as well. So I'm going to roughly go around the outside, just leaving a little bit of a border, just coming on the camera there so you can see me. This is just a rough shape coming around the outside edges, not clinging closely to it at all. Taking off excess as you go. It just gets in the way and you really don't need it. So nice curvy lines. Now when I fussy cut, I'm actually moving the cardstock as I go. The scissors are staying exactly where they are, and I'm bringing that round. Nice curvy motions, sliding the card as you need. Finishing off with a nice rounded corner there as well. So that's our sentiment, all done and ready. These 3 baubles here, I'm actually, if I just show you the image again, the image on here has got a little tiny hook on the top there where you would hang it on the tree. Now I've cut that off. When I fussy cut them, I cut that directly. And what we're actually going to do is take 3 small paper clips. Now I have some glue dots here, some mini glue dots. So I'm going to uncover 3, and I'm going to place, we want to leave, where we have the double end and the single end, we actually want to use the single end, and we want to have that exposed above the card. So I'm putting the middle of that on there, and the single end that way, and the middle again on there, and the same with the 3rd one. So I've got the middle of that poking at the top there. Okay, now I'm going to turn each of these over, and I'm going to place the paper clip just sticking out the top just slightly. Now it wants to stay straight so that when we turn it over, I'll bring that up to the camera, we have a bauble, but we actually have a metal loop on there. Okay, and we're going to do that with all 3 of them. So we'll turn each of these over, take off our paper clip, and just have a piece of the wire exposed. And the same with the last one. And have that little bit exposed, like so. Now we're going to apply some foam pads. So we want to have some dimensional on here, and we want to have 1 each side of the paper clip. Okay, and I'll pop a little one in the bottom, I think, just at the bottom there. So it's a bit like 2 eyes and a mouth. So we're going to have, one of these is going to be at a jaunty angle along the bottom here. Okay, so I'm going to press that one down. And then we have the next one. I'm going to have the first one coming up at a jaunty angle into the corner, towards the corner. So this one's gone that way. That one's coming that direction. And then this one is going to just touch, just overlap it slightly and just come at an angle that way. Okay, so there's our baubles. Now our sentiment is going to go across the bottom, across here. So it can be tucked slightly underneath there. You can either raise this one or you can have it flat. It's up to you. I think I will put some pads on that one. I use a mixture of the dimensionals all the time. I have the larger ones in the large areas, and then as we get down to the smaller areas, I have the little ones up here. Maybe just to support that end. You can see I'm using my Stampin' Pierce mat here. It's quite a nice non-slip surface to actually have to put your the backs of the dimensionals on. I'm just going to lay that on there like so. And now we're going to do some decoration on the foliage. So this side I'm going to have one piece of foliage flat. So I'll use my Tombow multi-purpose adhesive again. And then the other one I'm going to put foam pads, dimensionals on the back. Okay, so all we have left to do now is to pop the holly. I'm going to bring on the corner of my silicone mat and just pop some Tombow on here. And with the holly, because they're so small, I'm picking them up with my tweezers, going to dip in the front and the back end and pop the holly as a pair on each of the baubles. So one piece going there, top end and bottom end, and one will go there. Again, they're all nice and shiny and glistening with the Wink of Stella pen. Just pick that up. So I've got the top end and the bottom end. Put a couple of these flat and a couple of them on dimensions, I think, on these ones, just to give them some shape. So if we want to put the dimensionals on these two, we can actually snip through the little pieces that are left between the ends of the dimensionals that we're left with at the end. So I'm going to take a tiny little piece of that and a tiny little piece of that one. So that one will be on foam pads. That will go that way. And this one will come that way. Okay, and if I take that away, I'm just going to zoom you back out a little bit, so you can see the effect of the whole card there. All that's left for me to do now is to add some little rhinestones. If you've got any gems, even if you've only got clear ones or pearls, you can colour those with our Cherry Cobbler Stampin' Blends. Or I have got some of the red rhinestone basic jewels here. They're tiny little gems, but they're all red and they're lovely. They just work a treat on this card. Okay. Just going to turn that over and place that into the middle there. Just doing one on each of the pairs of holly. and then one down the bottom here. In fact, I did a little cluster of 3 on there, I think. You notice when I release them from here, I give them a little wiggle with my tweezers just to loosen the adhesive dot underneath. It's very easy to actually lift them off the adhesive dot, so it's better if you can just grab hold of them with some tweezers and just wriggle a little bit. Okay, and there we have my finished card. The 'Tis the Season Designer Series paper has 12 different designs and 12 different designs on the reverse. So there's a pack of 48 sheets, you get 4 of each. So there's actually 24 designs in there. So here's 2 different designs. We've used some other different designs between myself and Gina over the rest of the cards that we've done for this class. I hope you've enjoyed my tutorial today. And if this is your first visit, then please click on the subscribe button below. And if you ring the bell as well, then you'll be notified of any future videos as I release them. My contact details will be at the end of the video and in the description below. And I hope you've enjoyed the class so far with Gina and myself. Okay, thanks again for joining us and hope to see you here again soon. Bye for now.